What's going on, everybody? We will be starting up here just momentarily. You have me and Therek tonight for our Pantheon dev stream recap. We're going to put out some feelers on Twitch. Or, I'm sorry, Twitch. We're on Twitch right now. Huh, that wouldn't work out so well, Therek. On Twitter, just to get the news out that we're going live. We'll be going live here in a couple minutes. We're pretty set up for tonight, so we're feeling good. Got some stream footage that we capped. And we'll be talking through it with our notes and getting you guys on the air live. But for the meantime, what is going on, everybody? And thank you to everybody who jumped over here quickly.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight and enjoyed what we just saw. That was pretty cool.
I love this music. I can kind of just sit here and listen to this.
It's not fair. I can't hear it.
Oh, nice. Everyone else can hear it, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you playing the Kaja Sands?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. This and Kingdom of Sands are my favorites right now. So Joppa does a good job. And like I said, we'll be going live very quickly here, guys. I'm just putting out some quick notes. We actually are ready really fast tonight, so we should be able to get right into this and get right into the green room. So if you've never been on the show before, there's some instructions in the bottom right. Hit ! Discord, and that will that'll take you to how to get to our Discord if you're not there already, and you can go in there and actually join the #greenroom voice channel. And what that'll show is that you guys want to come live on the air to talk about what you saw. So we're going to go through that. Me and Therek are going to break down the stream here, and then we'll pull you guys in one at a time. We'll be going live again very, very shortly. All right, Therek, I'm ready. You ready? You guys ready?
I am ready.
All right. Well, here we go, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started right now. So as we always do, let's give the little viewer warning by our pal, our friend, Mr. Nathan Apom.
Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just...
All right. Well, what's going on, everybody? Minus here from Pantheon Plus, and welcome to episode 43 of Pantheon PlusYou. As always, I'm joined by Therek for our dev stream recaps. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. One of the things I am going to do here, though, is I'm going to throw up a poll real quick, Therek, and then we'll jump into it. And what we typically do for polls on dev streams like this is we'll actually toss up a poll that kind of just gets your feel. Like you guys can kind of vote on how you felt about the developer stream. Did it get you more excited? Was it okay? Are you disappointed? You know, one of the things we do on this show, if you haven't watched before, is we want people to have an opinion. We want people to be able to use their voice and talk about what they thought, what they feel, and all that type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start that up now. So you guys will see that right on the top of the screen, and you can vote if you just read each of the options, like amazing stream, and then in parentheses you'll see ! Vote amazing. That's how you'll vote for that one. Vote good, vote neutral, vote down, or vote bad. So you guys can tell us what you thought of the stream, and then also, like I said, we're going to get into the green room, and we already have 6 people in the green room, Therek. So
wow,
we have a lot of people we want to talk about tonight. If you're not in the green room yet, please jump in. So if you haven't seen it, get in, and I'm telling you, it's not as scary as you think. The green room and getting live on the show is a lot of fun.
It's the best part of the show in my mind. From both ends, from our end and from the participant.
So before we jump into the topic, I do want to say one thing. We try not to do this. We try not to be like, oh, Pantheon Plus, but because this show is about you guys. But one of the really cool things that just happened on the 22nd, so was that Saturday or Sunday? There, Saturday maybe. We hit 1 year with Pantheon PlusYou, which is crazy. Like, It doesn't even make sense to me. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me that this has already been a year. And I want to thank you guys, because you guys in the chat and the people who follow us and come to these streams and get excited and subscribe to support us, you guys actually have made this possible, because this show doesn't work without an audience that's willing to jump in the green room and share their opinion. So like, it's mind blowing to me that you guys have supported us for a year. We're really excited for another year to drive this. So thank you guys. Thank you very, very much. But no more about us, because that's not what this is about. Pantheon plus you, not Pantheon plus us. So Therek, I don't know, do you want to start by opening up some thoughts on this stream? And then I'll kind of jump in and we'll go through our notes a little bit, and then we'll get to the green room.
Sure. Yeah. So, this was a different kind of stream. I don't think we've seen anything quite like this before. It felt like a fresh kind of stream. I think we saw some areas that we hadn't really seen before. Like they talked about, I was a little confused at first, because they talked about this being thrown fast, and then the village, which I hadn't heard of before, and then they didn't tell us where that cave was they went into. But so it was kind of interesting, because there was new stuff from that perspective. There was lots of little pieces I picked up along the way, sort of talking about, I think Joppa related a lot of it back to what his tweet was about the first 30 minutes of a new MMO, like what's important, and talking about what that experience was like. So it was kind of good to have that connected to it, because there was a big discussion about that earlier in the week. I think that was sort of the main takeaway, and then looking at some of the little things along the way, looting the essence, when they looted that essence and talked about how the bartering. We saw some of the NPC faction in full effect, right? Joppa getting taken out by
that was cool.
That didn't like him. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'm actually curious, like, what did you guys think of that? Like when Joppa was hunted down by a regular guard, and because keep in mind, everybody was playing a human, and they're in the Thronefast area, so it's the human area, right? But because Joppa was a Dire Lord, a normal guard killed him on sight, just like that. Yeah. But then there was a Thronefast paladin walking around who like decimated him and declared like to the whole zone that the darkness has been vanquished for the light. That's pretty crazy, because I think a lot of people are very used to, and EverQuest did this a little bit, but like it was a lot more, in my opinion, when I remembered, it was a lot more race driven. There was a little bit more for class, but that's pretty hardcore right off the bat there, right?
That was very hardcore, yeah, because he was human, right? As far as we knew.
Yeah.
So I guess they just, they really, really have a problem with the Dire Lord as a class. But then again, humans can be Dire Lords, so I'm not 100% sure about what that was all about. But the thing about shouting the death to the zone was that's going to be interesting. If that's something that's in the game, that's going to be pretty interesting.
Can you imagine if, like, back in the day, the Priests of Discord just yelled everybody he killed? It'd be chaos.
It would just be spam. It would just be constant spam, because people were constantly getting killed.
So let's read some of the comments here. So Bronson says we already have an idea of what to expect from Vandrad, which is funny. We have, let's see, your Gatorbait says that's the way it should be, with the faction there. And then I love it. Batier Peeler says the Lord of Light requires blood. So
all the paladins will be happy with that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So let me go through some stuff. And like I said, we will get to that green room. We have enough time to get through a lot of people in the green room, because when we fill up in the green room, we just shut up and we let you guys talk more. So if you see the green room and you're like, there's a lot of people in there, or you're timid to get in for the first time, just jump in. We'll give you a heads up before we pull you in. It's usually never enough, but we'll still give you a heads up. So I do have some notes. I'm going to go through some of it. You touched on a little bit. Wisdom, so they kind of broke down like something small with stats. You guys know my name's Minus. I'm into math. I like stats, right? So they said, like, as a priest, which he calls the healer classes priests. If you didn't know that from Joppa, it's a pretty common terminology that he uses. But he talked about the fact that a priest character will use wisdom as their power, like their power of their spells and their mana pool, and intelligence for like the critical side of it. But then casters, like a wizard or summoner, are going to reverse that. So you'll want intelligence for mana pool and power, and wisdom for crit, which is interesting because it still creates competition with the gear between them, but maybe slightly differently, where you don't want wisdom as the main stat. So a main stat wisdom piece drops, and now you're like, give it to the healer, right? Yeah. So there's that interesting dynamic that creates a little bit more specialized gear, but yet both can use it. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, right?
Right. It's not an automatic, give this piece to the wizard. There's some tension there. I would think.
And a funny quote here, Joppa, thank you for joining us in chat tonight. Joppa says, when the dire calls you, most become less human than dire, and are treated as such. So pretty funny.
I like that. That's awesome. That answers the question.
Yeah, everyone in the chat during the stream was like, are rogues and dire lords going to be hunted on sight? Like, whoa here. Rogues. Not all rogues are bad people. Let's keep that in mind. I might be, but not everybody.
Have you ever met a good rogue? I don't know, man.
No, because they're sneaky. You never meet them. So then another thing is, so let's talk about the a couple things that I'm going to toss out there that were shocking to me, right? So one, we are not in Fairthale, right? We're in Thronefest. We talked a little bit about that. I already did a little bit, and we're in a green box, a heavy green box. I don't think a lot of people expected that, and I would guess that shock of great stream versus neutral versus good is maybe people like, oh, wait a second, like why are we in a gray box, right? I have no problem with it, but it wasn't expected. It wasn't expected in twofold. I thought we were going to be in Fairthale. So I do welcome that we're in a different area for sure. But I don't know that I didn't know that we were going to see in-game gray box like this, which is fine. It's just one of those things when you don't expect it, it kind of catches you off guard. And I'm not sure with the sound effects, if they were just turned off, like the music and sound effects were turned off so that you could hear Joppa and everybody talk a little bit better, which is fine and completely understandable. But I definitely think that with a little bit of sound, that would have negated a lot of like good versus amazing. Because honestly, Therek, if I'm gonna be serious with you, I put good. It's probably pretty much what I expected, except for I was hoping for a little more audio, and I was just surprised we were in a different area, which is again a very good thing, right? Like, don't misread the fact that I thought we were going to be in a lush Fairthale that we've seen a bunch, and that we weren't, and we were in a gray box, but we were in a new area. That's exciting because we've talked about on streams before that, sure, we've seen Fairthale over and over and over, but it doesn't mean things haven't changed, right? Like we saw Blackrock Keep was just moved, right? We've heard hints of different zones being worked or finished. So there is a lot to that, that when we see some of these zones laid out and fleshed out like this, think of how quick they were able to render over top of these gray boxes. You can see this gray box it's pretty much done. It's even got like the top layer on it. They just need to put like the bottom layer and some hashing out. So it's pretty close to done, at least from what I gather from it. So
yeah, it looks like a testing environment. It looks like it would be I can see why like my understanding of this stream was that the purpose was to show what the PA5 sort of shakeout testers are going to see.
I said Blackrock Keep. People are going crazy. Sorry.
Black Rose Keep.
Black Rose. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
So I think I wasn't too surprised. I think it makes sense when you think about from that perspective. But again, I've said this before. Like we've seen streams before that have set the bar higher in terms of like what we're actually seeing and hearing and experiencing from a perception standpoint. And I don't mean like the mechanic. I mean like from what we just experience audio visually. So this was a little different because the purpose was different in this one.
Yeah, very much. And we understand too, let's keep in mind the shakedown session is not going to be like the full play session. It's going to be different. It's very test heavy. Shakedown that's coming up. Yeah. In 1 week, the people who qualify for VIP, and Ben said you can still get into that. Keep in mind that, this is a huge testing shakeout. This is not, the full gameplay loop that we're going to see later in pre-alpha. So that's nice to know too.
But there was a lot of things although we didn't see some of the graphically or audio things we've seen in the past, we did see things we haven't seen before, and not just like the area. Like I was saying, we saw the task sort of menu. We saw some of the quest journal sort of UI. There were some UI elements we hadn't I don't think we'd had the full details on or full look at them before in terms of what we saw tonight. We saw the climbing just demonstrated. We saw some of the combat demonstrated. Mm-hmm. It was sort of like there was everything in it, just in little bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, and we just had Nick Hott say animations and UI look pretty slick. Very. At the very beginning of the stream, he opens up the menus and Joppa kind of says, hey, move it around. Very easy to move around. Very clean. I like that aspect of it. And a lot of people during chat, if you guys didn't see in the Twitch chat and you're watching this video for the first time or you just didn't catch it, when they group up, there's no group window because they had it down for some improvements during this testing. It's already done and it's working again. So there would be there'd be a thing. So Tech Ninja says, what do you guys think about the class tokens we saw? So you hinted at that a little bit at the beginning here, Therek, about picking up the essences. It's something they're testing, right? So there's going to be a way during testing to buy spells like you standardly would, but then there's going to be maybe this barter system that they're going to do with the essence, and it's going to be something they test really heavily, right? So we're going to see that sort of flesh out through testing, and we'll probably get a lot more info.
Yeah, they talked about being able to exchange them for abilities, right? So if you loot a Dire Lord token or essence, I guess, then you exchange it barter it for one that you need or can use, I guess, something like that. But it sounds like it's something that is new-ish, and still in the works. Yeah.
Now, one of the interesting things, and I don't know if you guys caught this when he opened up his inventory menu, but we did see the resistance panel. And I don't think that resistance panel was in any of the artwork. I think this is the first time we've seen it fleshed out fully as we saw it there, right? So, and it had 10 different resistances. Now, keep something in mind, resistances and acclamation are not the same thing. It had like, again, I think it was like 10 different icons for resistances. So I like that. I'm a big fan of having to gear resistance, not just acclamation. Did that catch your eye? Did you think anything about that?
Yeah, it did, because at the top of that UI, there was also the button for acclamation, right? So there was 2 buttons at the top. I can't remember what the other one was, but one was acclamation. So that's where all your acclamation, information is going to be in. But so these resistances, and there was more, like we know there's only 6 climates, right?
Yeah.
And these resistances, there was much more than that. There's quite a few there. So yeah, interesting. That's what I was talking about when I said there were some new UI elements we hadn't seen before. I think that was one of them.
Yeah, and they kind of showed in the UI that you can get into your numbers a little bit, depending if you want melee, defense, ranged, or spell, and you can see how the stats affect it. One of the things that was hinted on a lot and talked about in this stream is the fact that individual stat numbers are going to matter. Having 1 more strength is a big deal. During the player creation, they talked too about the fact that you start with 1 in every stat. And I think Ronik had maybe 4. Thank you, Kodiak, for the subscription. I think Ronik had 4 points to spend. So the value of 1 statistical point is a big deal. And that's something I think, Therek, that for a long time we've talked about is a very important piece of this.
Having the stats incrementally going up, making a big impact, right? Not dealing with these sort of less meaningful, gigantic numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we saw that because after they died the first time in that cave, it was not only did they increase their levels, but their numbers went up just a little bit, right? They still died again, so maybe it didn't make that big of a difference. But, the point of it was to show, I think, that even just adding 1 point, 2 points can make a big difference in terms of overall survivability.
Yeah, and AC seemed to go up a lot quicker, so I'm curious to see how high that number gets. I think they were sitting around 15 and went up to like 21 or 26. I don't know why both those numbers are sticking in my head. So 1 chess piece took them from 15 to 26. So it looks like we may see a larger number increase when we're talking about armor class. So it's going to be interesting to see how that ends up playing out as well.
Yeah. I want to mention too, before we go, did anybody see in the very beginning that gnome model in the character creation section? That was pretty interesting. I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah, about 37 minutes in, this video that you're seeing on screen will restart. So maybe someone's going to have to keep an eye out to give the chat a heads up that this stream will restart. You'll see the login screen for a little bit, and we'll kind of maybe bring the mention to check out the screen because we're going to catch that small glimpse of as naked as we'll get gnome, I guess you'd say.
It was a naked gnome. It was very mummy-esque.
And it was very different than the gnomes we've seen. This is a new model. Someone just asked, was that a new model? That is a new model. That was definitely a little tease right there.
I think so.
Okay, so again, just going through scrubbing some of the facts here. There was a really good discussion, Therek, and I'm curious on your thoughts on it. I'm not going to go into all the details because I'm not here to just relive the entire stream, but I want to highlight some important pieces. And Thorndeep, thank you again for 3 straight months, man. I appreciate it. Really, really happy to have you as part of the community. Whether you subscribe or not, Thorndeep, you're an awesome guy, so thank you. They talked a lot about the first 30 minutes of play. And Therek, we're going to talk about that a lot on the rewind. So let's not go crazy with it. But they really talked about like hand holding versus orientation, I believe was the word that they kind of tried to do, right? Like we want to orient you into the game, but we don't want to hold your hand and put you on a linear path. We want to point and say, here's the world, and maybe go talk to this person. And it's going to be up to you. I think, and guys, tell us in the chat, because this is important to me. Was that something that was satisfying to hear? As part of the Pantheon community, a lot of people have said, I don't want these starter quests that force me to do these things and tell me exactly what to do. How do you feel positive, thumbs up or whatever you guys want to do? Do you feel positive about the approach that Pantheon is taking with this orientation versus handholding? Do you think that's the right path? Are people happy? Do they want even less handholding and less orientation, or is this a good compromise? Because I think we talked about this before, Therek. Like even Brad used to say, like the hardest thing is just that onboarding process, right?
Yeah.
Where are you at on that?
Yeah, you know what? After we talked about it, as we've gone through it a few times ourselves and just sort of brainstorming and talking it out, I've come to the realization that there definitely is a balance to strike. You can't just throw somebody into the world, no, guidance, no nothing. And I like the way that they distinguish between orienting and hand-holding. The way Joppa said it, they want to orient the player, but they don't want the ever-present safety net. I really liked how he said that, because that's what it feels like a lot of times, is that, you have no agency in the opening moments of your character's life. You're just being pushed along this rail, and nobody wants that. But people also don't want to go in feeling completely, dropped into a unfamiliar aspect. I mean, some of us have more experience with these games than others do, and we have to accept that not everybody's on the same starting point. And I think that they strike a good balance. One of the things Joppa said during the stream that was really interesting to me too is that if you want to start a new character, you want to start a new an alt, you're not forced to go through the process again. That stuff will still be there. Like, you can go back. And one of the things I've sort of realized in my MMO experience years is that the reason sometimes people do that stuff is just because it gives experience. Like you feel forced to do it if it
gives
a reward attached to it.
Yep.
So I'm glad that he's saying it's you don't have to. You're not missing anything if you don't do it. And I like that approach to it. I think some of us need that, and some of us need more than that. That's
an interesting bring up about the quests and experience, right? Like, quest gives experience, I got to do it. I got to maximize my experience output. Well, for anyone who didn't see, when Ronick turns in the wolf pelt later on, there is no experience gained in that process. And Joppa had said in a stream in the past that, because I think I asked like 6 times, I was super annoying. I'm like, Joppa, will quests give experience? He eventually answered, because I annoyed him enough. He's like, no, because he was talking about the difference between like tasks and experience gain and perception. And that's where he said, no, like our tasks, which that was a task, go get this wolf pelt. We're going to make you armor. That's fine, right? No experience, because the reason you did it was to get this armor, the knowledge that will be imparted on you. That's going to be separate from the experience that causes you to level. So it's kind of interesting to me.
That's really important.
Yeah. And again, we saw that in play here. So it aligns exactly with what was said in the past. Now, something interesting, and you had brought it up, and I wanted to use Joppa's exact terminology because I really liked it. He said that, and I'm going to read this because I wrote this down. He said, heavy narrative is great, right? When we talk about the hand-holding or the orientation, but that it creates an ongoing reliance on the narrative if it's too heavy. And then what happens is the player just relies on that to play the game instead of their intuition. And I like that a lot. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because I had actually joked, I think on an episode of Pantheon PlusYou, and Joppa was even in there and joked with us about it. We were talking about BDO. For anyone who's played BDO, not very popular in our community, but if you've played BDO, there's an option. And I was joking about this. So you can auto run to quests, right? And when you start the game, you can decide, do you want to have the line draw for you? Do you just want a marker on your map, or do you not want anything? You can totally decide. You can play the game however you want, right? But even though I don't want that in my game, I'm going to turn it on because everyone around me is doing it, and it's going to put me at a disadvantage. Does that make any sense? Yes, I have the option to turn that feature off, but I'm going to turn it on because it's there. And that's that whole narrative driven thing, right? Like, if the game is going to guide me and it's going to give me efficiency, well, then everyone's going to go towards efficiency, even if they don't like it, because it's there for everyone else. Like, why am I going to handicap myself? I want everyone to be on the same level. And we all want that level instead of being a guided line to just be nothing. And I think that when that's the guiding level, we can all feel much more comfortable in going experiencing the game because that's what we're all doing. Right. Yeah. So just I mean, a little off topic, but you get what I'm trying to say with that.
I do. Yeah, no, and I think, like you said, reliance on the player intuition is so important, right? We don't need that. We don't need we don't need to rely on the game to sort of guide us stringently along a certain path. Just let us use our intuition.
Yeah. So another thing, just little things I'm picking out could mean nothing. One of the NPCs that they interacted with was Art of Bravado, Songweaver. Songweaver.
Sounds kind of like a musical.
Chat, is this Bard confirmed? Can we get a Bard confirmed in chat, everybody? Did we think that am I off base, or did we just confirm Bard? I don't know. You guys tell me.
He had a very detailed. He was the only one I saw with like a middle name too, or like
a middle name
in quotes.
Yeah,
very obviously important.
Hashtag Bard confirmed. Yeah, I mean he had a nickname. Like, can we get nicknames? I don't know. And then just kind of talking about NPC interaction. Again, I'm not going to go through every detail about it. In Green Room, we're getting to you very soon here. Unless Therek goes on a endless Therek rant. Oh, wait, that's me. You should be fine. Get to that Green Room quick. So we saw like the faction stuff. We've already talked about that. But just more so like that the flagging system within the game is not just for keepers. We didn't see any keeper things because if you guys didn't know, if a keeper window pops up, it's a different interface window. It has like that rune that signifies perception versus just standard dialogue windows. So everything we saw, none of that was perception. When you were walking by somebody and they were talking to you or making a comment as they walked by, or when you clicked on somebody, everything we saw tonight, at least from my understanding, was completely just normal conversation, normal dialogue. And Joppa was really highlighting the fact that these NPCs are intelligent, and that you want to come back and talk to people more, and the things you do are going to have different conversation paths. You're going to learn your name. They're going to focus on your class, your achievements, and your flags that you've set off, even if it's not directly related to perception. So if you decide you don't want to be a keeper, you're still going to have this intelligent NPC experience. And I thought that was, maybe that's assumed, Therek. Maybe you already assumed that, but it was nice to kind of see that play out.
Yeah. No, again, it's because of what we've seen so far in the past. We haven't seen a lot of these normal conversations, right? Like maybe a couple here and there, but mostly what's been shown is the perception storyline type of dialogue. So it was kind of good just to see some basic stuff. The one thing I'll say before we go to the green room that I just want to comment on, because I was reading the chat during the stream and they were talking about how, Hornick was basically soloing a lot of stuff. And, I thought this was a group game and this is a group sort of oriented game. And Joppa did say in chat, and I really liked that he clarified, he said, we're tuning the game to encourage the beginning of small group content around level 4 or 5. So that's kind of interesting, right? So you're not forced into a group at level 1, or level 2. You get a chance to sort of orient yourself like he was talking about.
Yeah. And I think that's fine. I mean, I think any one of us, if we had a spell or sword or hammer, could go out and kill a rat. It might be hard to catch it, but if it stayed there and wanted to fight us, I think we could smash it with maybe.
I don't know. I'm kind of a wuss.
Yeah, and Joppa just said too, emphasis on encourage, not force. So that is important. I mean, we've said before, Pantheon's being designed for group content, but it will not disallow you from trying to solo. You may have to be more intuitive. It may depend on your class, on the way you do it. It may depend on the level of things you're fighting, the area you're in, the gear you have. There's going to be things that matter, but if you're a skilled player, you'll find a way to be able to solo when you're not grouped up. Is that a fair way to put it, Theric?
I think so. Unless you're a Dire Lord, then you're screwed no matter where you go.
Yeah, just don't walk into any town. It'll be interesting to see if like a Dire Lord human could go into a Scar town. Like, is that Dire Lord functionality enough to say that the Scar, even though they may not love you, will let you in? It'll be interesting, because I think we can already see, and very similar to Freeport, that there'll be certain areas that are more probably welcoming in the city to necromancers or dire lords. And again, we saw that little in EverQuest, right? All right. So that was a lot of my takeaways. The combat animations looked fine. Remember, we're low level, low gear, couple spells. So really, I mean, I thought that the animation looked good. I thought the walking and running looked good. the environment looks great. It's just not finished. I mean, the topography looks great. Climbing looked good. Oh, we didn't mention that. Climbing, you saw for the first time the endurance bar going down. And the pop-up, the pop-up that came up when Ronik's walking by it and Joppa's telling a story and it pops up and Ronik's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, don't be sorry. But there was a little pop-up about it that said, if you run out of endurance while you're climbing, you fall.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I got to watch it again.
Yeah, so simple as that. So that's how it works. So, okay. Nice. Just so you guys know, not quite yet, but they're about to go back for the last little session in the cave that they're hiding from us. And after that, the video will restart, so you'll get to see that gnome if you pay very quick attention, I think. So, okay, you ready for Green Room?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's go with a new person. We'll start with a new person. All right, let's go with Meaty. Meaty, you are first to come on Pantheon PlusYou. I already see that you did not have a microphone mute or a headset mute, so you're good to go. Just make sure you mute the Twitch stream when you come in, or it's going to be a little confusing for you with the delay. So we're going to pull in Meaty right now for his first time on Pantheon PlusYou. Here we go. Meaty, welcome to the stream.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going real well. Yeah, welcome first time. Appreciate you jumping into the green room. Happy to have you on, man. So what'd you think of the stream tonight? What stood out to you?
I loved it. I thought it was great. Definitely like the amount of polish on, like, if you just look at the way their footsteps were going, they weren't kind of hovering over the ground like they were in the previous streams. Also, like, when they climb, they weren't like climbing up and over it. They were actually like climbing along the side, and it just really looked polished. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember in the last one of the Fairthale streams, they were showing the climbing, and I think it was Ben was climbing up one of the trees, and there were some parts where it was sort of like a little bit janky
clunky,
on the geometry, right? But this time it looked much. It looked, like you said, more polished, and the animations as well in terms of the walking. So yeah, good notice.
And it's even better of a notice because, like, for the walking side where they didn't seem like they were floating, which I believe that was also on the Fairthale stream, we kind of saw a little of that floaty step, like talking about it. But this is looking clean without the ground rendering. Like, so it's looking clean on, this gray box. I mean, when the ground effects are in, it's going to look even better, which is kind of cool to see. So that's a really good bring up. I'm happy you brought that up, Meaty. You said you liked the stream a lot. You said it was great. What else stood out to you? Is there anything in particular? Like, did this stream make you more excited for Pantheon than you already were? Or are you already at peak? Like, where's it put you now?
Yeah, it really made me excited. I can't wait to get into Terminus and mess around. But there was just something else I noticed too. I'm not sure if you guys noticed it, and I could be mistaken because I was just so happy. But the EXP loss when he died. Did you notice that?
I wasn't looking at it. I was thinking to look, but I was like, in my head, I was like, that probably isn't going to happen yet. Was there a loss?
I think so, yeah. I think he was like a little bit into the first bub when they started, and like after he died and he was back in that little respawn place, I noticed that it was gone.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I didn't notice that either. It would have been really cool if he had lost his level. Remember when he dinged earlier in the stream, right? He didn't de-level him.
Poor Ronik, always destined to be 0.
Like, that's the next level of Ronik, is not only dying but de-leveling.
If there's de-leveling, they have not confirmed de-leveling.
Right.
But that's a really good look. I did not catch that. As I was firing away notes and trying to get the stream ready, I did not see that. So that's a really good bring up. Rio Chorizo, thank you for the follow. Anything else, Meaty, before you jump out?
No, just want to say I love what you guys are doing. I've been watching for a little while, and it looks really professional, and you guys are always doing like grade A work. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
It took a year, but we finally look semi-professional. So thank you.
Yes, we're getting there. We're on the path to professionalism.
Someday. Thank you very much. Don't be a stranger. Always welcome on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
All right. Let's go with Nafel. We always make Nafel wait a long time. So what do you think? Should we?
He's earned his movement up the queue.
Okay. Nafel, you're up next. I think you're unmuted. I think you're good to go. And we'll bring Nafel in. Nafel, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for bringing me in early. You didn't have to do that. But
no crafting. No crafting.
Oh, no. No crafting yet, but if you noticed, when Ronik was looting stuff,
Mhm.
and you have to be really quick to catch it, but he was looting a lot of things or seeing a lot of things in loot windows that were not being used for quest turn-ins. Makes you wonder, like
the eyeballs and stuff.
Or what is a high quality wolf pelt used for? So even though we're not seeing crafting yet, I'm pretty confident that we're going to get a look at it in whatever comes after PA5, and I'm definitely looking forward to providing a lot of feedback when that happens.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's a good point too. You see the loot windows pop up, and you're kind of like, oh, you just kind of glance over. And I think what caught my eye was those essences. But then again, yeah, you're right. There was other stuff in there too. And when he had to go kill the wolves for the little task that he had to do, right? I think they had mentioned some differentiation between like a low quality versus high quality pelt kind of thing. So
just to call out to everyone in the chat, pay attention to the video right now. We're going to see the gnome here in a second.
The gnome.
Pay close attention. It's quick. Everyone in chat, no mink. So.
Yeah, that gnome, man, like I'm ready to go to a rave with that gnome because that was pretty cool.
Oh, it's interesting, right?
Like, you're right.
What do we expect something that's just essence that look like with a shell? It's always been really interesting to me. So it's about to come up. We'll get people's comments on it, but just so you know, Nafel, when you brought up the pieces that we're dropping, Joppa did give you a crafting hype message. So.
Oh yeah. No, I saw it.
He knows what you want.
Yeah.
He knows. I pester him and the rest of the team enough. They all know. They're like, oh, it's Neff. He's going to talk about crafting and non-combat gameplay. He always does that. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
At least they know what to expect.
It's firing up here.
Comes the gnome. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Entering the character selection screen. Halfling. No. So.
No, that's not it.
Very essence. Yeah, that was it. You were behind.
That's the
There
gnome.
it is. There. Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Kind of odd. Where's the cape? Like, where's the hood and the cape?
That's gear. That's the gear you got to get. That's what you
start with a hood and a cape.
No, you naked. Does this human start with it?
Around you, you're like a mummy when you start.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. They're very mummy-ish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at this human.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, if the gnome looked like this, they'd just be pants with energy around it. It would just be a floating pair of pants. They need something to contain themselves.
I guess.
Sacred
without that cape and hood, they look a little off.
Sacred quoted me, says, "No, you naked." So Nafel, we kind of
something Sacred would say.
Yeah.
So Nafel, we kind of jumped in on this gnome thing and cut off. You were talking about that. So I didn't ask you like where, if you don't mind sharing, where was your vote? Like, good stream, amazing stream, neutral. Like, what did you feel about watching through this?
I voted good, and I'll explain that. I think it's a really good way to sort of set people's expectations going into the Shakeout coming up next weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, because we haven't actually seen gameplay in, like almost a year, more than a year. It's been a long time since we have actually seen gameplay, and the last gameplay we saw was PA4. So there's a bunch of new pledges since then, just because of the amount of time that has passed. And I think it's important to kind of give everyone an idea of what they're going to be seeing, so that they don't freak out and go, "Oh my gosh, this looks totally different," So I think it was actually really good from that perspective of setting expectations. The only reason I didn't say it was great is I would have liked to see a little bit of full group gameplay as well. Now, obviously, the Shakeout is probably just going to be like, the starting experience and really trying to nail some of the stuff down, like climbing, like everybody go climb as much as you can. And, because that's the Shakeout is all about focus testing, right? So, but like PA5 proper, we have to imagine the zones that they listed in the chat, that there's going to be some group stuff going on. And I think it would have been cool if they could have closed out with like just, like 5 minutes of a full group doing something in, Black Rose Keep or somewhere like that, just to kind of give everybody an idea of what to expect for PA5. But, even without that, it was still really good, really worthwhile. I know a lot of people are really excited about it. Look how good it looks in a gray box state, and imagine how good it's going to look like when the trees in the ground are there. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
setting
point.
expectations. It is a good point. Yeah, I thought so too. That was my takeaway as well. Is that I think they set it up properly, right? It wasn't set up as to be a flashy show off the beauty of the experience of this world, and it's more like this is what we're doing. This is what you should expect as a PA5 Shakeout participant. That's a good point.
The other thing I really liked about this stream is it's obvious that they have really taken our feedback to heart. I mean, you guys know that I've been talking about new player experience for the past month, and a bunch of other people have too. And it's like Joppa's Twitter thread the other day. But they've really taken that feedback to heart about what are the right things to do for people that are just new to Pantheon, and how do we, kind of explain the game and get them in the right direction without, throwing a big heavy tutorial at them or dragging everybody else down with a bunch of stuff that they have to wade through. I think they've actually, it's still early days, right? But I think they've kind of landed on a good strategy for that. And I'm happy to see it.
Yep, I agree. Awesome.
Definitely.
I'm with you on the good. I think I said that before. Like, I think the only thing missing for me that would have made it great, and I know I'm nitpicking here, I just would have loved to hear a little bit more ambient sound during it. When Ronik was quiet, it was just silence. You didn't have the sound effects, you didn't have music, you didn't have like ambient sound. I just think even if it was just this backing track that's playing now, it would have felt a little more epic. I think that it was just a little too quiet for like the epicness of what we were seeing, and just needed some emotional sound to just get, I don't know. Maybe I'm being really nitpicky, but that was probably the only thing that would have made this like over the top for me. So
see, now you have me wanting, like, you go into a dungeon, like let's say you go into Hounier's caves, and there's that ambient sound in the background of like footsteps and screams and anything you would expect from like a horror game. That you're literally, every time you come up to a corner, you're on the edge of your chair. Oh my gosh, what's around this corner? Is it going to jump out and kill me? That's what we need now for Minus.
Yeah, especially
that
in
level of ambience.
Especially in that dark atmosphere, the absolute dark. Like, I want to hear creepy noises. I want to be scared. Scare me. And then once we die, you will not be naked. But when you start, you're naked. All right, so Nafel, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. As
always a pleasure, guys. Talk to you next time.
Thank you.
See you, Nafel.
I want to give a big shout out to Kat and thank her. She just gifted 5 subs to people in the chat. So thank you, Kat, for that. That's awesome. And congratulations to everybody who got that free sub. Really do appreciate that. That's awesome. So thank you.
Very generous.
Yep. So here we go. So Bathier Peeler says you lose experience timestamp at 32:24, so pretty close to the end. Goes from a 1/6 of a bubble to empty on death. So there you go. It's in the game a little bit, so you can really kind of dig into that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of significance, though.
Yeah. Let's go with Thorndeep, because we've made Thorndeep wait to the end quite a few times. So Thorndeep will get you in next. If you want to unmute your mic and your headset, we'll bring you in. So I see him editing that now. So here comes Thorndeep. Thorndeep, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Doing good, man. Doing well. So, what'd you think? Like, where did you vote, and what were your highlights? And I mean, overall, this is something brand new we just saw. How are you feeling?
Oh, absolutely, very brand new. I didn't know what to expect for this stream. Didn't expect this, but that's not a bad thing at all. Definitely showed us some really amazing things. I really enjoyed seeing the character creation at the beginning, and very excited to see that. And I've been thinking, as people have said, about the onboarding of new players. I've been thinking about that a lot, especially since Nafel posted his something on the forums about that. And I had originally, in my thinking, had gone with an offline tutorial that just, ran through everything to teach someone that didn't know anything at all, through all the various ways to interact with the world, and then kind of drop you in EQ style after that. But again, it seems like, VR has come up with a very not stylized, very elegant way of doing that without having an offline thing. With the difference between orientation versus hand holding, because I think that's really important. That you do want the player to be oriented and understand how to interact with the world, but you don't want to railroad them into the game and make it a safety net.
Yeah, I when we talked about this before, one of the things when it comes to the offline tutorial that's I sort of thought, was that it seems like a good idea and it seems like an interesting, safe way of doing it. But then you're not learning in the world; you're learning in a bubble, And I think that there's something to be said for your first experiences in the world to be actually in the world, And Joppa brought up at some point in the stream about instancing versus non-instancing, right? And I think that's sort of an example. The feeling of instancing in an offline tutorial is what we're getting away from, or what they want to get away from, as sort of way I'm interpreting it. So putting this sort of learning experience, the new player experience, actually in the world, it speaks to their the concept of the open world, the sort of non-instanced approach to the game that they're taking.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, they found a very elegant way to do it. So it's I expect nothing less at this point from everything that we've seen.
I want to give one quick, because I don't want this to get lost. And we didn't see it when we were talking just now, but Joppa did clarify, in case you missed it, that the PA5 proper zone list is going to be the following. So Thronemfast, Avender's Pass, Silent Plains, Fairthale, the Merc, Island of Infinite Storms, Hounier's Cave, Black Rose Keep, and Amberfate. That's just pre-A5 proper. So not Shakedown, not what we're seeing here, not what we're preparing for, but that's going to be PA5 proper with what we expect to be all the classes and feeling an actual gameplay loop. That's crazy. That's a lot of gameplay space. And we've seen bits and pieces of these zones, and I believe they're a lot bigger than what we're seeing. So to have that many zones as part of this pre-alpha experience, it's a very, very big deal. So
it's a huge deal. And like, we haven't seen Silent Plains at all. We've never seen it. No. We've seen the Merc in a very, very gray box state, even more than this, right? And that's all we've seen of the Merc.
Yeah.
So super cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, very exciting for sure.
So Thorndeep, one of the things near and dear to your heart, we had someone in our chat, and I know I'm going to probably kill their name here, but Shuklak, maybe that's not Shuklak, said, I would like an intro that focuses on exposing you to the lore and culture of your starting place, your race and class, but that's the RPer in me talking. I think, and you guys can jump in after I say my piece here, but I think that what Joppa was trying to explain is that will be there. It's just a matter of, you don't have to follow it. You may talk to someone and they're like, hey, if you want to learn more, go talk to this guy. And you're like, okay. But it's not, remember, it's not experience driven. So the people who aren't into that are like, I'm going to kill. I'm starting to kill right now. I need my experience. But someone who's an RPer, I think you're going to have that opportunity to learn more about your race, about your class, and dig in a little bit to the lore that will probably be exposed through more of the keeper system, I would imagine, but also through the tasking system slightly. So.
Right, and hopefully just paying attention to what, people are mentioning as you walk by, or, when you chat, and reading through the text. And once you start actually noticing and paying attention to what they're saying, then you start to pick up on the lore. And maybe, again, if you pay attention and you're interested in that, then you go, oh, well, then I need to go talk to this other person. You go talk to that other person and you find out even more, and you're kind of rewarded for your curiosity. And I think that I'm hoping that's the way it is. And then it will really encourage folks that enjoy that kind of gameplay, that they'll really be able to sink in and delve into it.
Yeah, you're doing it because you want to do it. You're not doing it for some other reason, right? You're not doing it for XP gain. You're not doing it for, some other reason you're not interested in. So you're just clicking through. You're doing it because you're interested in that kind of thing. So
exactly. And then it's also, it's more like it's a mystery. And as you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and if you realize, oh yes, I do, maybe I should go talk to this person, and then I do, and it does give me another piece of the puzzle, then you start to realize, oh, there is a puzzle to be discovered.
Mm-hmm. Using your intuition, right? And that's what we were talking about, using your intuition, and that orientation versus hand holding, right? Don't take me down a guided path. If I want to engage with that, I will. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Thorndeep, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Well, if you don't mind.
Please. What else?
I know Jop had talked about this a little. I was one of those people that was a little disappointed how easy the combat was at the first. It feels I'm hoping that they make it a little more challenging so that feels like there's a little more. I mean, maybe it's just because Ronick, he's obviously a dev and he knows what he's doing. But I'm hoping that it feels like that.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I don't know, but he's got his reputation and all to uphold him dying a lot, but
I'm just joking.
But that there's more sense of risk even at the beginning. We saw him kind of chain killing and running, and even again, just so it's not sort of bait and switch, that I would like there to be a little more risk at the beginning, even at the start. Not necessarily that you die, but it was a really pretty close fight, and you had to just to start already getting that sense that it's not going to be a piece of cake. You're not just going to be able to run around.
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much into what we saw though, because you're talking about a priest class that has an auto attack and that's it. And they literally have nothing to do but to heal themselves and the combat's slow. I would like to see, I think the best way to compare is like if we see what a Dire Lord looks like versus this, granted, it's still not a DPS, let's keep that in mind, but a tank who's probably going to do more DPS and has DPS attacks like on their bar, 1 or 2, instead of just a heal. It'll be interesting to see what the health loss versus the Dire Lord is, which also self-heals. So it might be a really good example of how a shaman is not a great soloing class at the start, but maybe a Dire Lord is. I think that's something you have to see as you see more classes, stuff like that.
That's true. That's a fair point. And the same thing too with the climbing. It was a really vertical thing that he was able to scale very easily. I was hoping kind of at the beginning that again you'd have to. It would be a little more challenging to climb something that looked like a pretty difficult cliff that he was climbing up. At first level, he was able to scale it very easily, and then the jumping down, we didn't notice any damage from falling. I don't know if that's just because there's no falling damage yet in the game, or
I was looking at that too, but as he fell, he landed on a couple different platforms. He landed on the platform below, which wasn't far, so there shouldn't have been damage, and then he actually landed a second on the tree. On one of the branches of the tree before he fell. So I don't think he ever actually, whether there's fall damage or not, I don't know. But he never fell at a very high height because he had landed twice before getting to the ground. So I wouldn't put too much on that yet either.
So, I mean, those are just, we'll see how but again, just a little more danger at the beginning.
What class are you playing? A summoner? You might not have a pet, so you might be dead on arrival. So,
right? Yeah. Well, actually, summoner or druid. Well,
I was going to say druid. I thought you were a druid.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
You'll be in danger. Don't worry. You'll always be in danger.
Don't worry, Thorndeep. I'll come kill you. All right. So,
okay, fair enough. Anyway, so thanks for indulging me.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take care.
That's awesome. See you, man.
Take care.
I almost moved you out there. Okay, so one thing I did want to mention, Mushy asked about, is Silent Plains going to be like Island Infinite Storm? No. Island of Infinite Storm is a raid environment that's made for an epic fight with a massive climate section. It's its own little area that's raid driven. Silent Plains is a massive open world area. I don't know for a fact it's like this, but I would assume something like a Karana that's just very wide open plains, and they call it Silent Plains because there was a massive battle, and the battle was so much bloodshed and just so violent that when it was over, it went from this chaos to just this eerie silence of what had expired or gone there. So
yeah, it's like the lament of the battle.
Yeah, that's why they call it Silent Plains. But I would imagine it's like a Karana, or an East Commons or a West Commons, like a really big plains-like area. But we'll see. It could be completely wrong. Mm-hmm. We've never seen it. That's just guessing. Okay, let's bring in Vandrad. You ready? All right, Vandrad, make sure you're ready to go. I'll give you a couple seconds here, and we'll bring you in for your comments. Here he comes. Vandrad, welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you?
Hey,
Good.
hey.
All right, let's start it off. What'd you vote?
What's the one at the bottom there with only 3? Yeah, damn.
You were let down?
Yeah, I was a little bit let down.
All right, so talk to me about that. What was it? What was it?
They said gameplay, and I'm sorry, but what we saw was not necessarily gameplay. We saw a level 1 guy beating on a bat. I'm sorry, it's just not... Oh god, it just didn't really give me that sense of this is still the PA1 through PA4 gameplay. It wasn't that drastically different. This is nothing new. It was set on a different stage, but other than that, this is the same stuff that we've seen since day one.
Okay.
So that's what disappointed me.
So
That said, there are some interesting little bits and pieces that I actually really, really liked. I'm getting a really big Vanguard vibe off of this zone now. Because I'm now thinking, or I feel anyway, that you've got now Thronefast as the central hub. The city is the central focal point of this now massive zone. Your different classes are starting off in their own little villages around it, and over time they start to migrate into the central city. This is good because now you've spread out your newbie area. You don't have all human classes starting in the same area competing for the same mobs. They've all got their own little individual places. Then they gradually start merging up as they level up. So I appreciate that. I think that's great. I love the fact that the Dire Lords are KOS to where the Shamans
I knew
start.
you were going to love that.
Yeah.
I know
think
that was a
that's great.
highlight for you.
I mean, but again, we've now got proof that class, regardless of race, has a faction hit.
So would you like
So-
to see a human Dire Lord be able to walk into a Scar City?
No, because a race now comes into play, and possibly deity and who knows whatever else. I don't think that anything other than Scar should walk into the Scar City. I want their factions to be that terrible.
Is that also maybe why their class selection is what it is? Because there's nothing that would get them, maybe the Scar, because they're so much tighter knit, they're pure evil, they're not going to have that good class that would clash. Whereas a human is kind of like that all encompassing, right?
Yeah, well, I also think that Scar aren't, they're very set in their ways. They're very insular. They don't see anything that anybody else offers as something that would benefit them. They would see magic as something beneath them. I see them as a very hands-on people wanting to, just get right in the thick of things and fight and whatnot, and magic is a little bit of an antithesis to them. So they would look down on, let's say, like the gnome races and that sort of thing, and think that anything that they have is not good for them.
Vander, I want to ask you, because I'm going back after you said, going back to looking at PA 1 through 4, and, I'm thinking about those streams and what they looked like and how they played, and then how this, and I think you're right. I mean, it is very similar, but I'm curious as to what would you have liked to have seen? You said, gameplay is what it was touted as. And, we've seen some gameplay in some past streams of like the Amber Fate streams and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the streams from PA 1 through 4. Would you have been, if it was totally different, like if it looked totally different or had changed massively, do you think that would have been a good thing? Like, what were you looking for in terms of
So
differences?
here you've got a level 1 shaman, which has 1 auto attack and 1 spell that doesn't even do damage.
Right.
He can only click 1 button during that fight to do actually anything to the mob in front of him.
Right. Just the simplicity
That
of it
is-
is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, it's too simplistic. It doesn't show off, other than like the 1 spell he got to cast. Okay, it got to show a spell effect. Okay. But that's it. It's not a good promotion of, hey, here's how we have evolved this game since PA4. Evolved.
Do you think just seeing the Dire Lord perspective would have made you feel a little bit better just because it is that level 1 combat? At least they'd have some kind of combat ability.
At least, well, I think that they should have gone, had they started off at, let's say, level 8, where we now saw more things on an action bar, more things that they can do in a fight, a longer time to kill, which involved more things happening, that would have demonstrated, at least to me, a better visual display of gameplay. A level 1 character beating on a batling or whatever is not representative of Pantheon's gameplay. That's where I got disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, listen, this show's all about letting people speak their mind. And I can feel some of what you're saying, because you heard me in the beginning say I was kind of shocked to see Gray Box. Not because I have any problem with Gray Box, but it wasn't what I expected. And again, the sound, like if there was more sound effects and stuff like that, it would have really put me over the top. Whereas I didn't vote where you voted. I voted good. Like, I'm not sitting here saying it was the best thing I ever saw. It was exciting.
Right.
It was fun.
Where were the sound effects?
Actually, Joppa did say that it looked like Ronick had them muted.
Oh, well, okay. I would have made sure that wasn't the case before you recorded the damn thing.
That's all Ronick. He died. His sound died.
I was also disappointed in that the shaman vision apparently is still not working. The little eye icon. When
they might not have it yet.
That is supposed to be. Well, it might not.
It's a passive, right?
What we said was it's either when he casts a heal spell, that eye is supposed to open, and then his spells are supposed to cast faster. So either the visual representation of the UI is not reflecting it, or it's actually not implemented yet. But that's a concern I've got.
Have we seen that in the past streams? Has it worked in the past streams?
I don't believe it has, so who knows? But hey, they said PA5 class.
I thought in the shaman stream and the what's the Reckless Tower, when they were standing up there just casting, I could have swore that was working.
Maybe it did at that point. Okay, and then so why can't he climb that surface right there?
Didn't try? I don't know.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you go back to the very beginning when he walks next to that mesa, the little pop-up that says, "Hey, welcome to climbing."
Joppa says he
walk next
can.
to the surface, and not high enough level. You walk next to the surface and you grab on, and then you start to climb. It's automatic. So the question is why can't he climb that one? He got to the end of it and walked up the same thing, but that other part he couldn't climb up. So, I thought that was strange.
So what's weird though, just to be clear, because I want to make sure, Joppa said he could have. So that was a user thing, not a game thing.
So does it require that you jump from whatever surface you start on to latch onto the wall to then start climbing?
So let's keep something in mind. I don't think you just want to be able to just magnet to walls. I'm sure there's
exactly
something
right. Yes,
happen.
Because we were talking about this in the green room, which is if you're running down a hallway and you're trying to avoid climbing the wall, either to stay away from something above you or something that is off to one side, the last thing you want is to auto latch onto a wall constantly. Or the same thing, like you're hugging a cliff edge, the last thing you want to be doing is boop, popping off the side and hanging off the the edge there. I was also interested to see just how quickly endurance was dropping.
It was fast.
It was fast.
Well, keep in mind, so.
But no,
it's early, but it was fast, yeah.
Right, but I think that it's appropriate at that level to see endurance draining that quickly. That was 25, 30 feet, something like that, and they were nearly out
almost
of endurance.
Fell off, yeah.
Yeah, almost fell off.
And that's the first time we've seen that, because until this point, it's been always just not activated.
Yeah, so again, some things disappointed me. I'm curious to see just how large this zone is. We got little glimpses of the thrown fast walls off in the distance. But overall, again, when it comes to this is a representation of gameplay, I do not feel that
though.
It was not.
Let's be fair though. This is a representation of Shakedown, which is no.
I get it. Shakedown, right?
It was listen. I'm not here trying to. I'm letting you say your piece, but I want to make sure we're accurate in saying that this was specifically what to expect for Shakedown. That's all.
Yeah, but level 1, come on.
But what we've seen
level faster, Vandrad. Level faster.
Yeah, level faster.
Yeah, we haven't seen this new player experience. We've never seen a just starting from your very entrance into the world. So I get what you're saying. Like you want, I want to see more sort of advanced. This is a stripped down version of what we've seen in the past, I think.
Yeah, the question I have now is how long. Okay, so what was the impetus that caused the Thrown Fast to be rewritten, to be thrown away and redone?
Seems like style. I think that styles changed quite a bit.
I would also say that a lot of people thought that perhaps Thrown Fast was too small, just like a lot that thought that BRK was too small. I'm glad to see that, they took that to heart. I'm glad to see that there's more verticality here that we have before. But then again, I also have to wonder how much effort went into redoing all of Thrown Fast. And does this mean that 2 years from now, if this game is still not released, are they going to be going back and redoing zones yet again and causing further delays?
Yeah, I was very...
Hold on 1 second. So we saw the Merc at absolute gray box, right? Absolute, like zero anything. It was only gray box. And then like 2 months later, we had a note in the patch notes, like it's done. So I don't... and again, I'm not trying to play apologist here. I apologize if I come off that way. But what I'm saying is like the level that they're gray boxing and detailing, it seems like once it's done to where they want it to be, that they're moving really quick at adding the layers that are needed. And I know that Torque works on that kind of stuff quite a bit and is pretty damn good at it. So and I think they have a few people. So I'm just saying, like, I think that kind of stuff doesn't worry me. There's things I definitely can agree with you. But they said it's always been planned, by the way. So Joppa just said it's always been planned to be converted to a gray box, the true phase before finalizing. The same pipe that we developed for Fairthale, Sleepless, is where this is for every zone. So the other thing too is keep in mind when they first threw everything together, it was kind of just a throw together. There was a lot of assets from Unity. It was just sort of like, here's what it's going to look like. Here's a placeholder. I think we always kind of knew that everything was pretty placeholder. So
well, I knew for a fact that, Thrown Fast wasn't in its final form. There were lots of things that I liked about the original Thrown Fast, which I would
too bad. They're gone. No, I'm kidding.
They're gone. It thrown away.
I really like Thrown Fast from 2017, the making of a city stream. I'm a little confused.
I wouldn't worry about the city. I wouldn't worry about the city. Thrown Fast that they're talking about is the area, not the city. That's my theory on it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, Kelethin / Fadark. It's the city within inside the zone.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I interpret
because they didn't
it.
just chuck out that whole making of the city. Like, that's not gone. Like, that's still in.
No, I think things are just moved around and the areas around are being fleshed out. But I'm totally making that up. Don't put any stock in that. But that's what I kind of got the impression of. Yeah.
On the internet, it's true.
All right. Well, the only thing I'll tell you, Vandrad, is Joppa said a few times, wait till you get your hands on it. Wait till you get your hands on it. He said you're not gonna worry about it.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that the
I asked him if that was an invite. I asked him if that was like right after the stream, if me and you could go maybe log in, play for a bit. He didn't bite.
10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes to run around the zone.
You'll still be level 1. All right.
Of course I will.
Thanks, Vandrad. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Love it, man. All right, that was good. And that's the thing, guys. Like, what's really cool, we were talking about this the other day. We just hit a year, and we've had a lot of varying opinions on, and it's always respectful. It's always able to be talked about. Like, we can have different opinions. That's what this community is all about. I love it. Nobody's triggered. Nobody's upset. Nobody's getting defensive. Like, I love it.
No, I
love you.
Whenever
guys.
Vandrad comes on, I feel like I'm about to get a cold splash of water in the face, and I love that feeling. Right? Like, I need his opinions and his perspective on things to be critical, to make us think a little bit.
You want me to be honest? I think, I'm going to say this live on the air, Vandrad. Usually when Vandrad comes on, he's usually kind of a cute puppy dog who kind of like is happy. We're always expecting upset, but he's usually pretty happy.
More bark than bite.
Well, no, today he was the Vandrad we know and love, but there's a lot of times he comes on here pretty happy. I'm just saying.
That's true.
He asked recently if we still love him. I do love you still, Vandrad.
We'll talk about it on the rewind, Vandrad.
We'll talk about our love for you.
I've got a poem for you, Vandrad, on the rewind.
Oh, geez. All right, let's go ahead and bring in Azah. So, Azah, if you want to unmute your microphone and your headset, we'll bring you in next as soon as I see that. So right now, if you haven't voted in the poll, we've only had 38 people vote. Everybody is entitled to vote. Please do. ! Vote, and then the word amazing, the word good, the word neutral, the word down, or the word bad. So 38 people right now. We have 12 votes on amazing stream, 19 leading the way for good stream. We have 4 votes on neutral to the stream, and 3 people who are kind of let down. So Azaz's coming in next. I'm bringing them in now. Azaz, welcome to the show. Uh-oh, did we lose him? We lost him.
No,
Oh, there he is.
Oh, hey, man.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit behind on the stream. I've had to refresh it about 8 times tonight. So
Yeah, just
Yeah, that
mute the
happens.
stream and then you should be good in here because you're live now with us. So
all right, yeah, no, I'm here, ready to go.
awesome.
Cool.
So what are your thoughts? Like, what? Give us your overall, like, where did you vote, if you don't mind sharing, and then kind of talk to us about what stood out and what made you excited or concerned or whatever it was.
I voted good tonight. I thought it was a good stream. That might be down to the fact that I'm a fairly new VIP, so I don't have the same insight, but I've never seen it on this level before, like with this much polish. I really liked the way the UI looked. People have been saying it looks clean. And
Yes.
I think they did it really well. Everything's nicely sized, and it's not like got all mad artwork around it, making it all tacky and that. It's there to do its job.
Yes, I agree. It's very
Can I complain about one thing on the interface?
sure.
I don't like the double box on the right hand side. I actually don't like any of the boxes on the right hand side. I really hope I can get rid of that.
I agree. I don't like how they were split up like that. Boxes are kind of boring anyway, but I imagine it'll be a kind of like toggle on off sort of thing.
Well, in most games we see the tabs, right? Like you see the
Yeah.
one box with like 3 or 4 tabs on it for that kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me. I don't mind. As long as I could resize it a little bit, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, that's probably my only. I love everything else. I really do. That's the only thing. Like this, that's been pretty constant. Like even in the old interface that we always had the. They're converting them to tabs soon. So there you go. I'm done complaining. Thanks, Japa. All right. So what else? So you like the interface? I agree completely. I think that one of the things that limited action set helps you with is keeping a clean interface, which is one of the reasons I like it too.
Yeah, I'm a big minimalist. I'm a fan of simplicity, so that does it for me.
Yeah, me too. I love a nice, simple, not too many, things in my face. Just let me experience the game, from the perspective and not be cluttered with all that stuff. So yeah, good point.
What else in the stream got you excited?
I'll tell you something that made me quite nervous, and that was that you can allocate stat points at character creation. At first I was like, oh good, extra customization, and it probably won't matter that much at endgame, so no big deal. And then halfway through the stream they were like, yeah, stat points are really, really important, by the way.
Yeah, you better spend a lot of time researching before you make your character. No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, there's research. It's a brand new game, so I'm sweating a bit here.
That's fair, yeah. I mean, because they had to reallocate some points, through their GM magical powers, right, to help them with that first encounter, and we're not going to have that luxury, so.
No, I'll be very paranoid as to whether I got it right or not.
You'll be like, 3 years down the road and be like, oh, if I had one more strength instead of constitution.
I'll probably delete my main a few times until I know what it's about.
Wait, hold on.
I kind of think about just rolling a warrior.
I'm going to say the word. Ready? Chat, get excited. Chat, light this up. You don't have to delete your tune because progeny. The secret word, progeny. Everybody, ping Japa with progeny. We want progeny beans.
If you've made a mistake with your stats distribution and you take your character all the way to progeny, you are dedicated.
I couldn't do it. I would think that the progeny character is off by half a point, and that's too much.
Just end it. Just be done with it. Just don't even try.
Sacrifice them to
I might not even play the game now. There's too much at risk.
Yeah.
I'll just watch streams because if they make a mistake, it doesn't hurt as much. No,
That's exactly.
Funny. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, right? If stats are going to be really important, I mean, then you got to kind of take the good with the bad, I guess.
I'm just putting all my stats into charisma. I'm going to be a very charismatic rogue.
Is that for roleplay?
I don't know. I don't think it'll help. I don't think there's going to be a single rogue who welcomes me in regardless of my charisma score. So, or not a rogue, elf. So, all right. Well, Huzzah. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Good thought. And interesting point on the stat points. I wonder how many people are going to stress about that.
Well, at least 3 already, so there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I will too. I'll be sitting there mathing it out like, well, what are the odds?
I'm just going to ask you. I'm just going to be like, minus, what do I do, man? What do I do?
You're
What
playing an
stats do
elf.
I need? Wow.
You're playing an elf ranger, right? Just put it all into intelligence. That's all you need. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if
Better
I
get the
trust you,
Pantheon Plus site sharpened up because that's going to be a big resource.
There you go. Joppa just said there will be an auto allocate button depending on your class selection. Does that make you feel a little better?
Nope.
Still not good. Still not good. Eh?
Still worried.
It's not gonna fit the meta, and then I'll feel left out.
People are gonna ask you, like, did you hit that auto distribute button? You'd be like,
Yeah, that's your like looking for group non-auto distributors.
Yeah.
Oh man, Azza, great jumping on the show here live. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem. It was good to be back.
Good. Cheers,
It is, man. That was good. That's good. How many people? Chat, is anybody else out there that's worried about how their stat distribution is? Is anybody worried about that? Because that's funny. Okay, let's go with, we have a few more. We have 3 more people. Let's go with L Lists next. So L Lists, if you want to unmute, we will bring you in next to get your opinion on it. I see your mic is muted. Then we'll go Coco Mojo and we will wrap up with our pal Tech Ninja. How's that sound, Theric? You good to go for that?
Definitely.
Awesome. All right, so L List is still muted. There it is. Okay, so it's off. So let's go ahead and bring them in. L List, what's going on?
Hi.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Well, let me start out with a story. I played the first EQ about 2000.
Okay.
And I remember going to Unrest and like, okay, cool. But then I recently started playing again. I went back to Unrest and like, what is it? This one house in the middle of a small field? I don't remember it being that small. And I was a bit like...
That's actually a good point because a lot of the zones in EQ felt way bigger, like in the past for some reason, than they are now.
Yeah, you always remember it differently than it actually was, right?
I always remember things differently.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of things is like, I remember in the command lands and that invisible zone line I kept bumping into, and accidentally the first time, and now it's just one zone, so it's like bigger. Or is it, I think in that case, bigger is probably better. But,
so do you think that Pantheon's going to be able to deliver on, like, I think we've heard a lot from the developers that size is something that's going to be really important. And I think, was it Vandrad that brought up Vanguard, right? I think anyone I've ever talked to in Vanguard has said that the zones were just massive, right? Like huge. Massive. So like, do you guys think we'll see that as sort of something that translates from Vanguard to Pantheon?
I don't know. I missed out on Vanguard.
I tend to think that they will. Just based on what we saw tonight, I mean, it's hard to judge because we didn't really have a, scale in terms of how far he ran from when Ronak started in the one place all the way to, where they were in that cave. They didn't tell us where that was exactly, which would have been interesting to know because sort of give you some skill of the zone. But I think what we've heard in the past is that they're planning on making the zones, fairly large and to sort of encompass, like Joppa's talked about different level ranges in the same zone, right? Like, so to do that, you can't have everything sort of crammed in together. Like you brought up Unrest, and it was very small, but there was a decent level range in there, right? Like the stuff in the yard was sort of trash, sort of like lower. I try to remember the level range, and then you got into the basement and into the Dwarven work boots guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but if he was like high 20s, I want to say. So you had this big lower
I was
range.
actually just typing in chat when you were in the house and you pulled everything in the whole zone through the walls by accident.
Yeah.
Well,
through the ceiling.
I consider Unrest what I call a bottleneck zone, where everybody's sitting outside waiting to get in, and no one, no one, and I'm excited, like, there's a run off in random directions, say, hey, here's a few mobs I can take, and I plan on playing a wizard, so if my experience with EQ1 wizard in the Allocation, I probably have to med between fights.
Yep.
If I'm not in a big group, or I'm just trying to do this on my own, so if I find like maybe like 5, 3, 4 mobs that was spawn, by the time I get my mana back and I just like take them one at a time, then that's a nice relaxing evening for me.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Liz, thank you for jumping in. I'm going to toss you out to the room so we can get to finish up the show here soon. But thank you so much for jumping in. Yeah,
I got one more comment real fast. Real fast.
Yeah, go for it.
It's like each class is going to start on a different part of the zone. I'm just wondering if the mobs around that zone are would be different, because the mobs around the with the wizard star can't be like super like tanky, and like the mobs then the fighter like needs to have some like be more tanky, and also like if I'm a wizard and like where are the clerics at? Where are the tanks at? Kind of thing.
I would venture to think that, and Therek, I don't know if you agree, but that like some of the classes will probably be near each other. Like I can imagine paladins and clerics are probably near each other. Druids and rangers will probably be pretty close. So it'll probably be a good little mix of what you'll see. Yeah. I would guess. I don't know. It depends on how much they want to go with this like ability to dig into your class and the lore. But at the same time, like think of East Freeport versus West Freeport, right? Like you had similar mobs outside, but then when you got to the grass, it was a little different. I don't know. I think it's probably environmental.
I just don't want to be wizard and I have my new mobs be the most tankiest mobs in the zone.
Time to relocate yourself to the other side.
I'll hoof across the zone if I have to, but to find something.
You do what you gotta do.
Go with the tank sword and group with them.
Awesome.
There you go.
All right,
Ellis, thank you again, buddy. Appreciate it.
Later.
Take care.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Joppa just said that Constitution is going to make a really big difference in health and mana regen. It's like that's something like
interesting. Constitution makes a difference for mana regen
and health. So that's its own stat. It's not stam. So, all right, let's bring in Coco Mojo. Anything else you want to add before I bring him in? I accidentally cut you off there. I didn't mean to. Sorry about that.
No. It's good. It's good.
All right, Coco Mojo's coming in now. What is up, Coco?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, man.
What's up, man? So what'd you think of the stream? What'd you vote on, and what were kind of the standouts or concerns that you may have developed?
I voted good. I mean, I've seen better streams. I've seen way worse streams from them. This one was good. I was a little disappointed in the pre-recordedness of it, but at the same time, it got straight to the point of stuff. So like, I'm really neutral about that. I really liked how they went over the stat points, so I finally got to see that. Don't know how I feel about me having control over distributing them, unless there's a way to reset them. Because I need a min-max, and I will restart. I could be at max level and find out that I do not have the absolute best of the best of the stat allocation I'm supposed to have, and I'll be like, oh, well, shit, gotta restart. And which would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
That would make me like step away from the game for like a month, unsubscribe or whatever. If I had to do something like that. And then there's the we don't really know what a lot of the stats do, except what Joppa just dropped right there. Got ourselves a little bean today, guys.
Yeah, so we have a little bit, right? So Constitution was just dropped. That's the health and mana regen. We have Intelligence or Wisdom will counter each other. So for a caster, Intelligence is going to give you mana pull and spell damage, whereas Wisdom will be crit, and then you reverse it for a priest. So Intelligence becomes crit, and Wisdom becomes mana pull and healing potency, I guess you'd say. So then it really comes down to like what strength, stam, and dex, and agility. Agility and dex are different still, I think, right? I didn't double check that at the beginning of the stream.
Oh, I'm thinking back to the racial passive abilities, right? And they do reference the differences there to some extent, right? So, like Ember Elves get a bonus to their crit or their attack rating from dexterity, and then agility plays into a different racial passive. So we know that there's definitely some differences.
I'm really interested to see how agility classes, like you'd think Rogue is an agility class or a dexterity, whichever one it is. I keep getting mixed up exactly what those are going to do, but like where's strength going to come into play and how much? It's something I'm very interested in kind of trying to figure out. But
well, what I started thinking about, what I thought was interesting about the stats was how are they going to scale, and then with them being so low and their scaling is a diminishing return and stuff. And then when you get in-game gear and they want to introduce new in-game gear, how are they going to make it better? Is it just going to be better set bonuses, or is it going to be more stats too, or how are they going to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. Like, you know, I'm not a min-maxer, so the stat stuff doesn't, like, if I chose some sort of unoptimal stat distribution right in the beginning, I don't think it would bother me that much. That's just not the kind of player I am, and I never in EverQuest, you know, in EverQuest it sort of didn't really matter. I mean, what you put your stats in when you made your character at the end of the day, I mean, it didn't have that much of an impact. Some people probably thought it did. For those min-maxers that, you know, had to get every little ounce of ability out of their character, but you know, I don't know. I don't think it'll have an impact early on like this, like in the stream that we saw tonight, where just getting past those two magicians in that cave, having 1 or 2 extra points of stats made a big difference. You know, supposedly. But
well, they got one down.
Yeah, who knows down the road if that's really going to be all that relevant, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
A good point brought up too, and 187's talked about this a lot, and he's in our chat. And there's this rumor of hard and soft caps for stats. Whereas, like, I think that like the soft cap is like where you'll start to see diminishing return, and the hard cap is like it's not going to do much more to have over that stat. And the original like caps were a soft cap at 50 and a hard cap at 60. He's clarified it's not a rumor. So at least at that point in development, that's exactly where it was going to be, and possibly that's where it still is. So that's something to think about too, is like if you gear heavily in one way, then it won't really matter what your stats were at the beginning. You might just choose different gear. And jokingly, even as a min-maxer, I've never cared about starting stats. Like the gear is going to be what makes you the player you are, not the couple. Like, and don't get me wrong, like how can I put this? So as someone who is a very, very big fan of numbers, the numbers are one side, playing is the other, and understanding how to play to your numbers. You could have less numbers than somebody, and if you play to your numbers better than the person with higher numbers, you're going to do better than them. So it's a whole topic I could go into forever and get into really high details on. I'm going to stay away from that. I don't think it'll be tremendous in your experience unless you just put them into the wrong stat. So if they're in a stat you can use, you'll be fine. Like if you're a wizard, if you're a wizard and you put it all into intelligence, then
you're good. But if you're a warrior and you're putting it into intelligence,
that's what I said. Yeah,
it's your own fault.
Yeah, like at that point, like, come on.
Yeah.
Be a commander, man.
A commander. There you go. Create your own class.
Watch that becomes like meta, like intelligence warriors.
Yeah. Inf warrior.
We use the word meta. We're good. Kokomojo, anything else from the stream that kind of stood out for you?
No, just that a few things other people already pointed out, and we already got answers for, like that wall they couldn't climb. Everybody was talking about that.
Yeah.
That was about it. I had a few other questions, but those are all answered at other places. But yeah, I was just really interested in the stat allocation a lot, and how that was all going to work.
I kind of love how that came up, like mostly through someone coming on the stream and talking about it from Azah, and now like it's really a big topic, and people are talking about it in chat and that kind of stuff. So really good stuff. So awesome. Thank you, Coco. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Later, man.
All right, I see Bronson in there. Bronson, if you want to come on, stick around in there. But we're going to grab Tech Ninja. And then Bronson, if you want to come in at the end, love to have you in. You decide what you want to do there. But Tech Ninja, we're bringing you in now if you're ready. So I'll give you about 2 seconds and then pull you into the chat. What's up, Tech?
Good evening, gentlemen. How we doing?
Hello, sir.
Doing real good.
Big T, Mr. Minus.
What's going on? What'd you think? What'd you vote?
I voted neutral.
Okay.
So, first of all, love the new stream setup. It's amazing what a little ounces in bed can do to get you with a good viewpoint on the way things go.
Just if I get sick every month, we'll see steady progress.
And thanks for everything you guys do. Bringing everything to context, giving us all an audience. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful way to spend my evening, and it's many thanks. That's all I can say.
Oh, man, love doing this.
Yeah. So without any actual seriousness, did anyone catch the no fall damage? Is that just a shame?
Yeah, and it just came up again, and I watched it again because someone had brought it up previous, and I saw that was mentioned. But at the same time, I don't know if you saw. So the first time he falls, he doesn't fall far. He lands on a platform. So I can see no fall damage there. The second time he falls, he actually gets stuck in the tree for a second. And it might have equated to a landing in that tree before he falls again. You have to watch that part of the stream again, but I watched it. So I had brought that up with an earlier person who was talking about it. I think maybe Vandrad. But then I just watched it when Coco was, I was just on the screen. And I did notice again that he does get caught on the tree. So Joppa says fall damage is definitely in, so he must have got lucky.
All right. Well, hey, that happens, right?
Every once in a while, Ronik gets lucky. It's not common, but
did you see it before in other streams? Right? In the Throne Fest stream from 2017, they jump off the wall, right? And Ko dies in that stream, and I think other ones as well. We've seen the falling damage, so we know it's there.
Did you see what Jaffa just said? Ronik can't die when he's trying.
They wanted to show off a certain point. That's great. Hey, so based on a previous conversation, I believe it was with Vandrad a little bit earlier. Therek, what do you think out of an inspect system? Do you think that we should be able to see what a person's wearing, what their gear is, what level of hey, how you doing? What's up? What are you
think
wearing?
So. Yeah, I think so. I enjoyed the inspect function back in the day. It sort of ties into the conversations we've had about the should you be able to see what another person's wearing? Should their appearance be reflective of what they're actually wearing? And I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but people have brought up the inspect function. I know. I'm dancing around. I'm not going to say it because I
don't say the word. Don't say the word.
But people have brought up the inspect system as a way of saying, well, you don't have to. That's okay. You can do all that other stuff because you have an inspect system. So I don't know. I kind of like it. I mean, I don't feel like it's I never felt bad about it. So
I never understood someone getting upset for being inspected. I never understood that.
People I've heard people say oh, it feels like, it's rude, or it's
it's rude.
Too personal. Like, what are you talking about? If I come up and right click on you and just check out your gear, so what?
Sacred says minus my eyes are up here. No, I'm looking at your boots. Is that an elf skin boot you're wearing? That's nice.
There is a point there about that, because now we have the technology that the head can turn of the character for where they're actually looking, right? So if I am inspecting you, if I'm standing beside you and all of a sudden my head turns and starts looking right at you, and because I'm inspecting you, maybe that's a little creepy, I guess.
Or even worse, you just actually have the head turn and look to the boots. So they're actually looking at the boots. That would be creepy.
Just don't look at people's pants too often, or, careful with the chest inspect.
It's the next level of inspect.
All right. So I voted neutral, and I thought there was a precedent kept by the last stream that we saw. All gray box as we saw it, but they gave us an invitation to see what things were happening, how they were moving forward with the way that they were presenting the levels, and you get to see tonight that they were 100% serious and almost 100% done with one of the major revamps of something that PreAlpha testers will have already been in and seen, and never seen this on stream. They weren't in this, so I think PreAlpha's got even if it's the Shakeout, I think PreAlpha's got something different for everyone. That's what I think.
Yeah, that zone list that they put out there for proper that's a huge testing environment. I really hope that whoever gets the test does get ample time to do so. Because it sounds like there's a lot to test, a lot to discover. Now, keep in mind, testing's not, I get to play early access. Unfortunately, the gaming industry has really negatively affected that theory of testing and what alpha is and stuff in pre-alpha. But I would hope that if the areas are that big and there's that much to explore and they want to get testing data, that hopefully streamers or whoever gets to test it will be able to really explore. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Right. And the one of the major things that interested me is we saw Ronick learn by spell in his inventory, right-clicking on a spell, and then learning that. I was curious about like any other way that he could get it. Like that was the presentation of the stream, but any ways that we can get a unique spell, like by unique sale, you know, like are we going to be hunting mobs for spells?
Yeah.
You know, reputation earnings for unique spells. You know, quest turn-ins, big chains. Like I had a lot of questions about how are we going to get the spell that just happened to be in his inventory that he right-clicked on.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a hint in this video that some are going to be purchasable, some will be bartered for, but we also know that one of the core tenets of Pantheon and from the early days was that there are going to be these legendary rare spells that you do find out in the world through questing or discovering some monk on a peak who you do something for to learn this technique, that type of thing's going to exist where there'll be, and I think if I'm not mistaken, and this was a long time ago, but I think Joppa was having a conversation in chat, either on their stream or one of our streams, and he said that he believes that 30% of your spell book will be rare, hard to find, unique spells that not everybody will necessarily have. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to stay that way. And Joppa, you can correct me if it's way off, but I believe, and it won't be the same, right? Like a Dire Lord may have 20% and a Wizard may have 30, and there might be a bunch of in-betweens and something around there. But I believe that that's the consensus about these epic abilities or spells that you'll be able to find in the world. So again, I don't know if that's still a case, but I do remember that being said in the past. So if that's the case, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know the answer to that either. That's interesting. You remember that.
It's weird. I never remember things I need to know for like life, but these types of things are just...
When it comes to games, man, whole different part of the brain.
There you go. Joppa just said 20 to 30% of spells will be hard to find, rare, and found through adventuring in the world.
Nice. Wow.
All right. Well, I can't wait to whisper both of you guys to make sure that we get through this nonsense to find those spells.
Yeah, definitely. We gotta form a little syndicate.
Yeah. Little class experts or something. That's funny. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I'm excited for that. I think when we talk about exploration zone size, not being chained and actually going and exploring the world is just another piece. So
totally
great.
Tech, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
No, yeah, honestly, always the best times. It's great. I just have to make sure that I'm a little more sober next time around.
Listen, here's the deal. One day, not in this group, no. One day, when this COVID stuff is over, guys, I promise you, mark my word, unless Joppa kicks me out of the Pantheon community, we are going to organize a Pantheon fan get-together. I don't know how, when, but I promise you it's going to happen. Probably somewhere in Florida, just so that I can manage it. But we will have a fun time, and we'll set up like a streaming booth where you can go in and be live, and we can do interviews and stuff. Like, I got a plan. It's just we got to stop having everyone sick and get the world back in track. So
don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
All right, man. Take care, Tech.
Be well.
All right, so Bronson, you're still in there. I'm gonna pull you in. He may not even know. Sacred asked if it's an open bar. Depends. Depends, Sacred. Let's go. I'm going to pull Bronson in. You okay with that? Last person?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with
that. He hasn't been on for a while.
That.
Let's see. Yeah, Bronson, we just pulled you right from in there. I don't know if you were ready.
Man, dude. Hey.
Hey, it's
I'm
been a while.
Ready.
It's been a while.
Ready for trouble.
So you're in the cleanup hitter spot. You're in the stream. You're our last guest on tonight. What'd you vote? What do you think? What was your overall feelings about tonight?
Hello, guys. I thought the show was the actual stream was good. It was just pretty much what I kind of expected. From what they've said, that it was going to be one of the what we were going to see, and I just was not overly surprised and definitely not disappointed.
What'd you think of being the fact that we weren't in Fairthale?
It's nice. It's nice to see. something different, even though it wasn't complete. You know, not they haven't gotten all the textures on and still gray box and everything, but it's very, very nice to be in a different area and get a glimpse of what the other parts of the world will look like.
Yeah, that's what I said too. Right? That was my first impression too. Is that, you know, we sometimes we get, you know, people complain or just not just complain, but we've seen the same places a few times over and over again, and that's fine. They have to sort of keep everything sort of contained. You don't want to give away too much, but this is at least something new. This is a new area we hadn't seen before. I think maybe one of the things that now that I think about expectations or what we expected to see, maybe the teaser thumbnail that they put out for this stream tonight was of the Isle of Infinite Storm, right? It was a new sort of looking screenshot or image that we hadn't seen before. So I kind of thought maybe we were going to see that, but we didn't see that at all. Which is kind
that was an in-game image, by the way. It was confirmed by Ronak.
Yeah, that's a big bump. So it's like very polished looking compared to what we saw in the last Coast stream. So
I thought so too.
Yeah, it was looking really good. I'm excited to see what it's going to be like. So I can't wait. I'm still curious. It makes me want to go back and look at some of the Thrown Fast previous streams to see how different this looks like.
I definitely do want to as well, because we've seen Thrown Fast the city. We've seen some of the outskirts of Thrown Fast, like the area right around it, sort of moving out through Avendir's Pass sort of stuff. But I don't know where this is in relation to that, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where is
the name of this village? Like, was Avalia, right, or Avalia, right?
Avalia. Yeah.
I've never heard that before. I have no idea where that might be. I haven't seen in the lore anywhere. I don't know that name.
And if Therek doesn't know it, it hasn't been announced. That's how I'm going to stand by that one.
Maybe. I don't want to stake my reputation on that, but you know.
There you go. Something to dig in, Therek.
Yeah, come on, Therek. We need a whole video on it. On this town. Just make stuff up. So
the rest of my videos?
No. Joppa did kind of talk. We saw, and it was a little bit ago, so I apologize for not bringing it up. You guys are having a good discussion there. He brought up the point again that was kind of in contention on why Ronak couldn't climb that one piece of the wall. He actually said, and he said, see how he hit the wall on a bit of an angle. He said he was turned slightly to the left, and that's on purpose, that you wouldn't just attach, because it would drive you crazy. If you weren't trying to attach, you just attach to stuff all the time, which is perfect. So it's a really good bring up. And if you guys watch that video again, watch how he hits it, and then think to yourself, like, you're running through an area and you're just bumping a wall. Do you really want to get stuck on it? So that's a good bring up.
Right, and even Vandred brought it up, is the fact that you don't want to have it be an auto stick feature to where you just automatically, because you can climb that wall, you can just walk up to it and then immediately do it, because as he mentioned, you don't want to have, like, down the road in a combat situation, walk up next to a wall that you can climb and suddenly you're pulled out of combat just to climb this wall that you didn't want to climb. I was of the opinion when I saw that shot of Ronak running, I thought he just couldn't climb it. I just thought that maybe I wasn't sure if he was trying to climb it, but or just didn't. He chose not to, apparently.
Can you imagine, like, running out of a dungeon? Like, we're looking at the cave right now in the video. Like, what if you pull something,
train to zone,
a train, and you're trying to run out and you keep sticking to the wall as you run past the wall? Can you imagine how annoying that would be?
That would be awful.
You'd never make it.
You need an artifact for don't get stuck to walls. You can't climb anymore.
The toggle.
Stop.
The climbing toggle. There you go.
Oh, the toggle. We haven't said toggle in a while on this show.
Yeah, you love that term. That's your favorite.
There's a few. There's immersion, toggle.
Stay away, man. I stayed away from the other one. You can stay away from
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Nobody wanted to say it. I think one person in chat said it. No one else said that word. Like, don't start that word. Oh, man. Joppa brought up the old animal fat grease artifact. Remember?
Just grease up before you go running through the dungeon.
See, the fact that Joppa brought up in chat earlier that like humans or scar meat or something like that, or meat for the scar, it made me. I'm like, now I want to play a scar, because
was it.
I just don't like human characters ever in the game.
There's still a chance. I'm so torn on what I'm gonna be.
I start seeing you. Dude, you're disappointing me.
I'm just all over the place. I just need to get into a character creator, and then I can be done. And then I'll be a halfling, and we'll be fine. It's just all these variables. It's just I need that character creator Joppa someday here. I need to just export the character creator and let me play on it for like 3 months so I can figure out what I want to do. It'll be the best character. It'll be the best character creator video tutorial anyone will ever see.
So, did I miss anybody talking about the gnome? Because I was in there talking with Van.
Yeah. We talked about the gnome.
Mixed feelings on the gnome.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
They need that cloak, man. I'm telling you, they need that cloak.
It's an interesting looking model. I like it.
It's very different,
smoother.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's and I think that something that different is jarring. And I think like it's in the Pantheon Plus Discord right now. So like I'm looking at it and I've been looking at it more and more and more, and I'm more used to it now. I guess like just from this stream. So
yeah. I'm still on the fence. I'm like, to be honest.
It looks like it's a glassy creature. It doesn't look like energy. It looks like it's glass.
Which made me question whether or not it's going to be illuminating, like that particular portion of the body will be kind of this, very glowy thing. I don't know.
It's interesting. Still think a gnome wizard is probably going to be one of the coolest things in the world, but.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to play a gnome necro because that was my class in EverQuest. So I'm all of these going to be sticking to the classes pretty much that I played in EverQuest.
Nice.
Exception of a Dire Lord. I'm going to try Dire Lord.
Nice.
Right.
Well, don't go to this village if you do.
No, definitely not.
I love the paladin that killed them in the name of the light. I vanquished the darkness. Awesome. All right.
I loved the endurance and stuff too. That was pretty.
Yeah, there's a lot of small details. I think we're always accustomed to like the first sight, right? But then when you get into the details, these streams always have a lot of details when you dig in. They're not always on the surface. But
you got to watch them
talk about it.
Yeah. All right, Bronson. Thanks, buddy. It's been a while. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, later, guys.
Yeah. See you, Bronson.
Well, episode 43 in the books. 1 year down. Right. Therick, thank you for always joining me on these. These are the most intense streams that we typically do. From preparing the notes while we're watching, while we're trying to chat with people, preparing the media to show. It's kind of chaos, but it's a ton of fun. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. We had a great crowd tonight. We had almost 70 people the whole night.
That's great.
Yeah, and
people in the green room.
Chat rocking green room. We have people in the green room who are messaging me, hey, I don't want to come on the show. I just love being part of the green room. So like, it's just, I love that. That's what the community is all about. And again, guys, like I don't want to sit here and you guys think I'm cheesy, but there's no way this show makes it a year without you guys. Like I know you hear that on other streams and people are like, oh, my followers are the best. Literally, it doesn't work. Like if there's
no show.
There's no show without the green room. None. So like it would just be 100%. Minus talking, which nobody likes for extended period of time. So you guys are the best. Mushy says we're the best. You are the best. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the follows. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to us tonight. Every little bit helps, honestly. It's just one other thing fun we can do. Thank you to the people who are gifting out there. Thank you to the people that were, spending points to get their messages. It's a lot of fun, and you guys enable this. So thank you guys. Joppa, thank you for being a part and joking along with everybody.
Definitely, thank you.
It's just super fun. It's like it's a big party, and it's great to have you guys here for it. So, Therick, unless you have anything else, I'm leaving it with that.
No, that's perfect, man. Great way to sign off.
Awesome. Take it easy, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.